In recent film history, Jim Jarmusch stands as a charming, eccentric character whose independent presence has set salient influence to generations of cinema viewers. His 1986 film feature Down by Law served its reputation for cinematic and music cool. The misadventures of a trio of escaped convicts in Louisiana, featuring Tom Waits, John Lurie and Roberto Benigni, established Jarmusch as an example of many of his contemporaries, as well as for the younger generation of independent filmmakers. In this video, we're going to explore the fascinating journey of creating Down by Law. With 12 feature films, 2 documentaries, and a handful of shorts and music videos since 1979, Jarmusch has managed to remain visible and maintain a steady production rhythm, always focusing on the industry's margins. His generation's significant artists include musician and theorist Brian Eno, the prominent artist Jean-Michel Basquiat, conceptual artist and ecologist Barbara Kruger, and Pictures Generation artist Cindy Sherman. Jarmusch's first significant film, Stranger Than Paradise, won the Camera d'Or at Cannes Festival in 1984. Shot entirely in black and white, the film pointed the way ahead for US independent cinema at a time when the high-concept, action-packed blockbusters was already the dominant Hollywood-made movie genre. Jarmusch has set the path into independent cinema's viability and has decisively contributed to shaping one of its powerful forms. Various film directors, including Spike Lee, Kevin Smith and Gus Van Sant, acknowledge the movie as a catalytic role in their careers. At the same time, Jarmusch's humor, minimalism and blank effect impacted Sofia Coppola, Hal Hartley and Aki Kaurismäki. Jarmusch's early cinematic influences are descendants of the French cinema of Jean-Luc Godard, François Truffaut, Alain Resnais and Jean-Pierre Melville. Jarmusch spent his early 20s in Paris at the Cinémathèque Française, where he became fascinated with Ozu, Bresson and Cocteau's films. Following the narrative of the 1960s and 1970s art cinema, he aimed to create intimate, slow movie films that focused on character development. Jarmusch reworked classical storylines that would later transform within his films into their unique formula. Jarmusch's first feature, Permanent Vacation, was one of the more refined films of an exploding underground film scene in New York's Soho and East Village. In this small downtown New York area, practically every musician was also an artist, every artist a filmmaker, and every filmmaker was in a band. Being one of the figures of the scene, Jarmusch played keyboards in the downtown post-punk band Del Byzantines, before becoming an assistant to Wim Wenders on the Nick Ray documentary Lightning Over Water. Wenders donated black and white film stock leftovers to Jarmusch, which he later used to film his 1984 feature Stranger Than Paradise. The movie starred 2 of Jim's downtown musician friends, Richard Edson, the original drummer for Sonic Youth, the man with many talents, John Lurie, and singer and musician Esther Balint. The film's primary characteristic was the single long takes, which was openly influenced by French filmmaker Jean-Luc Godard. Jarmusch didn't have enough money to shoot the film with sound, so Stranger Than Paradise is dubbed and shot in guerrilla style, jump cutting to facilitate the ability to edit something out of wherever he shot. As Jarmusch said, the movie Breathless was inspiring to me. When I made Stranger Than Paradise, I did an inverse on that. I had so little film stock to shoot with, and I realized if I make each scene one single shot, I can make a feature film with the amount of material I have. Meanwhile, in a different part of the country, singer, songwriter and actor Tom Waits has been toying with the idea of moving out of Los Angeles City for New York with his wife and longtime artistic collaborator Kathleen Brennan. During that time, Waits has held a shifting position for himself between mainstream popularity and obscurity. He had already composed a critical score for Francis Ford Coppola's One from the Heart, which was nominated for an Oscar, and he had acted in a few of Coppola's films, The Outsiders, Rumblefish and The Cotton Club. Following the release of his masterful album Swordfish Trombones, the Waitses waited on three factors that made the idea of them moving to New York in early 1984 final. First, Tom was now signed to a label whose US offices are located on the East Coast. Second, Frank's Wild Years musical stood a significantly greater chance of getting off the ground as an off-Broadway production than it did of seeing the light in Los Angeles. And third, Jersey girl Kathleen's parents lived just half an hour away from Manhattan. New York wasn't new to Waits as he had been performing there since 1973. Waits found the chaos of its streets life as freeing as intimidating. So Waits and Brennan moved into a loft in Little Spain just off West 14th Street near Union Square. The neighborhood was hip. Several lively establishments, including the Ricky Ricardo Lounge, the Salvation Army Diner, the Babalu Bar and Grill. Waits certainly got around going to parties and networking. When Waits first met John Lurie, they instantly hit it off. When Waits found it challenging to work on music with a baby just months old at home, Lurie suggested they share a room in the West Beth Artist Community Building in Greenwich Village. John Lurie first came to fame as the co-founder of the Lounge Lizards, the eclectic boho punk jazz collective that sprang to life out of New York arch-edge late 1970s no-wave scene. Lurie wore a Borsalino fedora and old suits, painted expressionist album covers, and played the saxophone before pursuing his acting career, starting in some of Jim Jarmusch's best films, amongst others. Lurie turned out to be Tom Waits' passport to New York's downtown arts and music scene, where chic and bohemianism intersected and everyone was terminally cool. When Lurie's friend Jean-Michel Basquiat threw a pre-tour Lounge Lizards party, Waits found himself at Andy Warhol's Manhattan space, surrounded by various glamorous figures. Also present at the party was Jim Jarmusch, so Lurie would shortly introduce the film director to Tom Waits. As Jarmusch recalls the bash, "I don't much enjoy this kind of thing with celebrities hanging around. I'm still kinda shy." And Tom seemed to be sort of in a corner also. He was sort of shy and guarded, yet he had an incredible sense of humor. After talking for a while, the two misfits split from the party and embarked on a downtown bar crawl. They would soon become good friends, and Jarmusch would often be dropping by the loft to see Tom and Kathleen. Down by Law is predominantly a road movie, a Hollywood genre that has a large place in American culture and its legacy to world cinema. The road and the cinema both flourished in the 20th century as technological advances brought motion pictures to a mass audience. The mass-produced automobile opened up the road to the ordinary American. When French sociologist and cultural theorist Jean Baudrillard equated modern American culture with space, speed, cinema and technology, he could have added that the road movie is its leading figure. Jarmusch described the movie as a neo-beat noir comedy. The film is effortlessly laid back with storytelling that unravels quirky characters and society's outsiders uniquely. There's a hypnotic score, monochrome cinematography by Robert Muller, and conscious stylistic choices by Jarmusch. Even though not a great deal happens in Down by Law, the film is an anthology of pulp images from the world of film noir. It is about character development, style and atmosphere, and it's super funny, although occasionally sad. One of the film's notable scenes is when Roberto catches the word scream. He starts chanting the phrase, "I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream," and within seconds, the entire prison population joins the chant. Music is crucial to Jarmusch's storytelling, so the carefully curated soundtrack sets the movie tone with a distinctive vibe. While Lurie mostly wrote the score, Jockey Full of Bourbon and Tango Till They Soar from WAITS' Rain Dogs album are also featured, alongside the original 1961 recording of Irma Thomas's soul R&B ballad It's Raining. Jim Jarmusch is New York's great film director, switching from his lo-fi post-new wave early movie features to showcasing new aesthetics marked by his exquisite cinematic plots that bring together eclectic ensemble casts. Even though over the years Lurie intentionally distanced himself, Tom Waits and Jim Jarmusch have kept their intense creative relationship going.